Once upon a time, in the bright and bustling land of Prosperville, there lived a fellow named Donnie Dimwit. Now, Donnie wasn't known for his smarts, but he was very loud and loved to boast. One sunny day, Donnie inherited the grandest, most vibrant economy in all the land from the wise leader, Joe Biden. The markets buzzed, shops overflowed with toys and treats, and everyone had jingling coins in their pockets. Joe Biden had left Donnie a big, shiny book called How to Keep Prosperville Prosperous. It was full of advice from the smartest folks in the land. But Donnie, oh my, he tossed that book into a dusty corner and declared, I know best. I'll make Prosperville even greater with my super duper tremendous tariffs. The townsfolk blinked. Tariffs, Donnie? Asked Sally's shopkeeper. Those are like extra taxes on the things we buy from other lands. They'll make everything more expensive. Nonsense, Donnie huffed, puffing out his chest. My tariffs will make us rich. The wise economists, the toy makers, even the children who loved their dolls, all begged him to reconsider. Donnie, tariffs will shrink our coin piles and empty our shops, they cried. But Donnie plugged his ears and shouted, La, 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 I can't hear you. So Donnie slapped big, heavy tariffs on everything. Dolls from Dollville, candies from Sweetland, even the sparkly shoes from Glittertown. Now, folks, there's more to that story, but you've got to wait until later to hear the rest of it. And the rest of it, there's quite a bit. Now, I'm ready to get into it. Are you? Let's go. Storytime. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Happy Friday, you guys. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining me. If there's anyone out there in Glittertown, hang tight. Not Glittertown. Yeah, I see we have somebody from Australia is here with us, Ben Howlett. Good morning. And should I say good day to you, mate? Good day, mate. It's election day today. Thanks to your president, it should be a labor landslide. If that's a good thing, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, my friend. And let's see who else we have here with us today. We have, of course, at the top, our friend Zelda. Thank you, Zelda, for joining us. And who else do we have here? Joanne Kennedy is here. Foxhill Dreams is back in the heezy. Valerie G. Julia Murillo. Oh, Julia Murillo says, hey, dude, it's been a while since Twitter days before felon mush. Bernadette is here. Welcome, Bernadette. That's Bernadette H, just to be clear. Let's see, Mary Margaret Rachel. Mary, I need some spaces in your name there. Let's see. So then Joanne Kennedy is here. Lucy L. I think Joanne Kennedy has been conducting some kind of food recipe clinic in the chat. It's funny. I think that's her. Mama AG is here. Let's see. Yeah, look at this. She's giving this like added value in this chat, just so you guys, if you didn't know. Spinach in olive oil with garlic. Then we've got 1 beaten egg, 1 cup cottage cheese. I don't know what it is that you're making. It sounds good already. A bacon grease casserole at 350 for 25 minutes. Garnish with cheddar or parm. She knows what she's doing, ladies and gentlemen. Jenny Rayner is here. Did I say Lucille? Lucille is here. Asmilla J is there. Blinkety blink. And just while I'm scrolling here, there's Meredith Powell. Just want you guys to know I am switching up. Stella Baxter is here, switching up the order of things just a teeny weeny bit today. I'm just experimenting with something here. Tracy M, aka Nurse Mitch, is here. The Trump Reaper. Hey, Simon Metcalf. I haven't seen you in a minute, my friend. Welcome back. Let's see. Claudia is here. Diane Bowles is here from Grand Blanc, Michigan. Welcome, Diana. Pam Ham is here. And Sandra from Paramount, California. Welcome, folks. Welcome all. Let us not waste any time. Oh, wait. I did have some stuff that I was supposed to show you while I was reading. And by the way, the rest of that Once Upon a Time is good. It's got a good ending. Excuse me. And this, I was supposed to be showing this picture at while I was reading it. This is a meme somebody came up with. Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, and that wasn't quite the inspiration for the title graphic for today's episode. Donnie 2 dolls. The first place I saw that was Lawrence O'Donnell was talking about Trump's announcement that, well, maybe instead of 30 dolls, you'll only have 2. First of all, I don't know who buys 30 dolls for their daughter, like in one shot. I don't know anybody, because that sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot of money. I don't know. But anyway, Donnie 2 dolls, tariff disaster. All right, tariff disaster. That's a lot of dolls. So first up, we have oh wait, sorry. Let's do I almost forgot to do what I like to call our stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
Valerie points out here, maybe Ivanka got $30. I bet you're right. 100%. I would put money on that. Thank you for that. Okay. So first up, this week there was yet another, you can't even really call these legitimate cabinet meetings. It was a cabinet meeting, but in this meeting, it seems like the main the main idea was to see who could heap the most undeserved praise upon Trumple Thinskin, aka Donald Trump. But in this cabinet meeting, if you look in the right-hand side of the picture, that is Mike Waltz, with his back to us and his shoulder, his left shoulder to us. And if you look in his lap, you can see a phone, a cellular phone, and blowing up. That cell phone is showing him on a signal chat. He is now fired, but also promoted. Donald Trump has suffered yet another defeat in court. It seems like the courts are delivering a bunch of lefts and rights to the jaw and to the gut of his plans, and they have thwarted his plans in a big way to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1787. Anyway, let's go. Last but not least, there was some shrinkage in America. Those of you who are fans of the show Seinfeld will know what I mean when I say shrinkage. It was shrinkage in the country's economy. Instead of growing like it did every year under President Biden and every quarter, it shrank. It shrank big time. And last but not least, be sure to stay tuned until the very, very end. I promise you it's worth it. We were doing a segment called the dumbest, the dumbest quotes of the week from Donald Trump. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. If it's not your first time here, just hit that like button. Hello, Stephanie L. from Florida. I see you there. Let's see, who else did I miss here? Watcher Soko is with us. Okay, so let's get on with the get. Oh, before I forget, I want to thank you guys. Thank you so much for the kind birthday wishes. My 57th birthday was very nice, relaxing. I had cake. And as you can see from this lovely birthday card sent to me by none other than our friend Zelda, it says here, I only came for the cake, and that is the Grim Reaper. It was a really cool card. And right next to that is a wind chime. Oh, shit. It is sideways. I promise you, I'm just now realizing that it's not the right way up, but it's beautiful. It's made of glass. I don't know how she got it here in one piece, undamaged, but she did. Thank you so much. Indeed. So, oh, the Trump Reaper said that it's her, the Reaper. That's good. Very good. Thank you. And thank you, Nez from Connecticut, too. Thank you all. Thank you so much. All right. Oh, yeah. And yesterday, first of all, if there's any Detroit fans out there, I'm not saying this to get you to make you salty, but the Knicks are my team, and I do have to celebrate when they win, because we suffered for a very, very long time. We did. We suffered. You know, we had some of our best days in the 90s. Never won a championship except for back in, I think it was 72. But yeah, we're hungry for a championship, and if it's gonna happen, it's got to be this year. And we have some of the bestest players in the game playing right now. Unfortunately, I hate to say, we are facing Boston. Boston Celtics are up next, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The Boston Celtics are like what's that guy's name from the Avengers? Thanos. Boston Celtics are like Thanos. They're inevitable. I feel like that. I haven't seen a team that dominant since the Bulls. Really, since the Chicago Bulls of the 90s, the Celtics are that good. So, we do have Jalen Brunson, and and he's got a great supporting team. Cat and Josh Hart, and the whole squad. I love this. I love this squad. Tremendous. But I'm leery. I'm leery. So anyway, knock on wood. Let's see what happens. Also, this past Saturday, there was not the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I did show you guys a little snippet of that last week. It was this here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here at the not White House Correspondents' Dinner. I just flew back from Gulag in El Salvador, and boy, are my tattooed arms tired. It was so corny, so that was an interesting experience, because I'm not a comedian, right? And I was up there with comedians. Not everybody was a comedian, like Glenn Kirshner was there, but he's a brilliant lawyer, so he's got that going for him. But Hal Sparks, I want to say Hal Sparks and John Fugelsang, they truly represented. Stephanie Miller had some really funny skits. But if I'm talking just straight up, and JoJo was pretty good too. But if I'm talking just straight up stand-up comedy chops, and this guy Chuck Nice, he was good too. Everybody was really good, but my favorite was probably Hal Sparks. So if you had a chance to watch it, I thank you. It was a lot of fun. Oh, there's me there. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into our news. As I said, I've restructured the show a little bit. I put the movie and TV reviews kind of towards the end there, so we can jump right into what's really what. And this week, Donald Trump celebrated his 100th day in office, his second 100th day in office. And it's been a horrendous 100 days. It's been chaotic. He has not achieved or accomplished that much. He had a lot of chaos. He threw a lot of he flooded the zone with shit, and that was the goal. The goal was to flood the zone. And if you look at the picture on the left here on the screen, it says here, historically unpopular lowest 100-day score in 80 years. 39% approval. Where's the boom? This is from the Drudge Report. Those of you who pay attention to politics will know that this is huge. If the Drudge Report is coming, the Drudge Report was as much in Donald Trump's corner as anyone could be. They were like, not quite like Breitbart, because I would give the Drudge Report credit. At least they had real news, Breitbart is like trash. Samantha Hawkins, I see you, my friend. Excuse me. But yeah, for Drudge to be coming out and slashing at his Achilles here, that's meaningful. And then so his poll numbers are abysmal, and it's not hard to see why. As I alluded to in the story I was telling in the beginning of the show, he has disregarded advice from some of the best economists in the world, the smartest people, just disregarding completely. Let's get into what else has been going on here. So you guys will recall that day that Pete Hegseth and Mike Waltz invited a journalist from The Atlantic, the editor-in-chief, to their Signal chat, in which Pete Hegseth was divulging war plans. Now, he wanted to play semantics with, well, it's not really war plans because of, now you were giving times when things were going to be happening. You were giving locations. You were, come on, dude, this war plans. That was top secret. You could have gotten some of our soldiers killed. Zelda, my friend, thank you so kindly for that very generous, kind donation. I greatly appreciate you. As always, I'm not going to stop saying it because I do really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you do actually help this show to continue. What was I going to say? Nurse Mitch here. What an embarrassing time for America. Embarrassing indeed, because you would think after this was an embarrassing ordeal. This was all over the news everywhere. Everybody was talking about Signalgate. This was Signalgate. And okay, so after this, Pete Hegseth is going to learn his lesson, right? Nah. In Signalgate 2.0, Hegseth shared detailed military plans in a second Signal chat that included his wife and his brother. I mean, this second Trump administration is destroying Saturday Night Live. They really are destroying them, because you can't make up anything more surrealistic than this. And it's hilarious. But wait, there's more. And this was Signalgate 3.0, and that was pretty much the end. As we found out earlier this week, Mike Waltz has been fired. Although it turns out that it doesn't even appear that he was fired for Signalgate. If he was going to be fired for Signalgate, you'd think it would have happened like weeks ago, right? That wasn't the case at all. Or, Pete Hegseth should be gone. His ass should be out the door, right? Now, it's funny, Jenny, I agree when you're saying Waltz got demoted for it. And maybe technically it's a demotion, but I don't know. His next gig is the UN ambassador. I would, if I'm going to demote somebody from national security advisor, I'm going to put them as the assistant to the secretary, to the assistant to the assistant. Almost like, anybody remember The Office? Like Dwight Schrute was the assistant to the general manager. I would have given him like the lowest possible title ever. Not UN ambassador. UN ambassador is a title with respect on it. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Demoted, then promoted. Yeah. So you guys are both right. Yeah. Trump taps Mike Waltz as UN ambassador, names Rubio as national security advisor. Guys, I'm sorry. Was nobody else available? Was there literally not another person who was unoccupied that he could call upon to do this very serious duty? This national security advisor. Why are you lumping Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State? If you haven't noticed, we have quite a few global crises, not just like small things, big things. Ukraine, Sudan, Yemen, Gaza. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I'm sure there's other stuff that I haven't even mentioned. On top of that, you want to lump a major job like national security advisor. And as Bernadette here is pointing out, Rubio has 4. Yeah, Esmila J too. 4 jobs. One is the USAID manager, I guess. And I can't remember what the 4th one is. We got Secretary of State, we got National Security Advisor, USAID, and there's a fourth one. I forget what the fourth one is, but that's like, come on, really? We are, yeah, Lucy L. We are the biggest embarrassment on earth. Boom. Meredith Powell says, plus Rubio is head of the Lollipop Guild. The Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild. We wish to represent the Lollipop Guild. Yes, actually, USA does still exist. It's less of what it was. They tried to dismantle the whole thing, but they stripped it down to where it's it's not anything close to what it was. And even so, for instance, right, they canceled a lot of stuff out of that budget. You don't just cancel and then uncancel it and expect everything to go back the way it was. It's like a freight train, right? A freight train takes a long time to get up there, to get itself going. When a freight train first starts, it's going slow. You could walk alongside it, and keep pace with it. It takes like 10 minutes for it to even get up to like 20 miles per hour. And then finally, once it starts going, then it's going. And then it takes a long time for it to stop. So that's the long ass way of explaining. We wish to welcome you to Munchkin Land. All right. Sometimes when I sing something or I hear a tune, it gets stuck in my head. So I apologize if that thing is lodged in there. Where were we? Yeah, Rubio now holds 4 titles after Waltz out as national security chief. This is it's disgraceful. It is disgraceful. You can't tell me in a country with 350 million plus people, you could find one other guy to do that job so that Marco Rubio doesn't have to carry 4. It's stupid. Stupid. Here's another thing that's stupid. Donald Trump has cut the funding for NPR and PBS. Yeah. Here's the thing, though, right? It's federal funding that he technically cannot cut because he is not in Congress. It is Congress that decides what is spent and what is not. And those expenditures have already been decided upon. So he cannot just by fiat just determine, I don't care for this NPR and PBS. It's ludicrous. And what else is ludicrous? It's not like when he declares that, oh my God, now what are they going to do? Federal funding for NPR is like 1% of their total budget. Federal funding for PBS, that's like 15%, which is bigger than 1%, but it's also, it's not going to make or break them. I don't think it's going to hurt some functions, but yeah. Raise your hand if you grew up watching Sesame Street or Electric Company or Reading Rainbow or any of those great shows that appeared on PBS for nothing, right? They appeared on PBS through mostly from donations from people. And I myself was a huge beneficiary of the education, free education. Oh, Mr. Rogers, shame on me. Thank you. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Whoo, such a lovely show. And it's unfortunate we don't have Mr. Rogers around anymore because he taught people how to be decent, how to be human. I don't know how our world got so fucked up with a beautiful man like Mr. Rogers, sharing his soul with us. But you know what else is messed up is that the PBS in particular, the loss of that is going to hurt rural communities. And rural is like one of the most difficult words for me. Rural. um, rural communities are primarily the people who voted for Donald Trump in large numbers. So it really doesn't make any sense that you would hurt the very same communities of people who voted for you. That makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. Oh, God damn. You know what? I think I was supposed to add this to my to my clips here. So let's talk about Stephen Miller for a minute, because it is pertinent to this discussion of education. People have joked in the past about Stephen Miller saying and sounding a lot like Joseph Goebbels, right? The prime minister of misinformation for the Nazi Party. And, people say these things about Trump and the Trump and people in the Trump orbit. And it's just exaggeration, But in the case of Stephen Miller, it's not exaggeration. It really is not. And I'm going to play a clip for you in a minute that's going to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, Diane London, I see you there, my friend. Welcome. And I see Sharon Landry has joined us too. Welcome, Sharon. The travel ban, family separation, caging children, asylum limits, blocking refugees, ending TPS and DACA, xenophobic rhetoric, demonizing Latinos. This is all Stephen Miller. So the other day, I think it was yesterday, Stephen Miller was giving a press conference, and they really should not allow him to do that, especially if they do, they should have a warning, you're going to frighten the children. Let's see, story time. Let me see. Do I have it? Oh, yes, I do have it. Good. Okay. And so, trigger warning for you guys. We are about to watch a very disturbing video from Stephen Miller.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous communist woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues. The children will.
The children will learn to love the fatherland. The children will learn to love this nation. The children will learn to obey. The children will, literally, when I saw this clip yesterday, I was hearing it. I was hearing it with like a German accent. And I know, I'm sorry for those of you who, Germans are very sensitive about, the whole Nazi thing, because they've been trying to shake that. They've been going out of their way, bending over backwards to shake that whole Nazi label. We get it. It was like 60, 70 years ago. But come on, dude. The children will learn to love America. What the fuck, dude? I mean, unreal. So that's some scary shit. This is what is happening in America, and we need to stand up and push all the fucking way back on this shit. Straight up. That's fascism. That's fascism. They are stripping away, lessons about Black history and about, all of the shit that happened in the past, what happened to Native Americans. They think if you close your eyes and pretend that the shittiest parts of American history never happened, or, we should be interpreting it in a more positive light, that's going to benefit our children and no. Everybody knows if you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it. It makes us better people if we can avoid those pitfalls in the future. It's really disgusting. It's just, oh my goodness. And that leads me up to the mass deportation thing that Donald Trump has had people focused on, and he did campaign on it, like it or not. And I don't like it. I hate it. I hate what's going on. I hate how he's doing it. But he did campaign on it. They gave out all those placards, as you see in the picture there, mass deportation now. And what was ironic was the number of Latinos I saw wielding those signs. And I was like, what are we doing here? Are we trees, rooting for the chainsaw? What are we doing? And then shortly thereafter, after Tom Homan, who's a fucking son of a bitch, after Tom Homan started executing his plan to just grab people up off the street and disappear them, send them away to El Salvador without due process, all of a sudden, the same people who were like, yeah, do mass deportation. Wait, wait, what are you doing? Where are you taking me? because you look Latino. What's the criteria that they're using to snatch people up? Huh? Because so far, they have accidentally snatched a whole lot of people up who don't belong in El Salvador. There's a lot of people they're just sending there. And then they're like, when they've figured out, when they've heard that there was a mistake, they're like, oops. No, we don't want them back. And they just leave them over there. No due process. That's insane. Because now you have a situation where people with masks can come up to you on the street. People with masks who may or may not have a badge. They might have some papers. Gee, it would be so difficult for me to mock up something that looks like a warrant, a legal warrant, right? Especially if I'm, if English is not my first language. You wave this in, you got like 6, 7, 8, 10 people around me, all armed, but their faces are covered. What are you going to do? Huh? If you're one person on the street, right? For those of you out there, and it's obviously not anyone in this audience, but for those of you out there who love the Second Amendment and you've been saving up your guns and your ammo for this very moment, when tyranny has raised its ugly head and you're like, this is what I've been saving these guns for, tyrannical government. What are you going to do? You're outnumbered and you're outgunned. And they're coming up on you now. Come with us. And they're not going to ask you nicely. And they're going to ship you off without due process. What does due process mean? It means going to a court and having a chance to say, hey, I'm not Trendiragua or whatever the hell the name of that gang is. Huh? They're using tattoos to say one guy had a tattoo that was like a ribbon for autism. They said that was the gang tattoo. Other people had Chicago Bulls gear. That was their rationale. Are you kidding me? It makes no sense. Look, I'm not defending criminals. I'm not defending rapists or murderers, any of that. I'm not defending them. What I am defending is due process. Because what happens when the government just can get away with saying this person is a rapist and that person is not a rapist, but the government says they are, so then that must be the case. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're all the way in a foreign land and the people running that prison, they report to that jackass in the black suit and the black shirt? What's his name? Bukele. President Bukele of El Salvador says, oh, well, I'm not going to smuggle someone back into. Nobody asked you if you're going to smuggle someone back. They asked you if Donald Trump asked you to bring that person back, would you? Well, I'm not going to smuggle. And then Donald Trump pretends like he can't do anything about it. What can I do? The almighty, all-powerful El Salvador has, what can I do? We're only paying them $15 million a year to what? So wait, you are paying this country to assist in the kidnapping of people? This is insanity. It's absolute insanity. But and to make matters worse, fucking Republicans, man. I don't know how, if we don't clobber Republicans next year by a 50-seat margin, something's not right. Something's wrong. They voted against preventing. They voted to allow Donald Trump. Republicans voted to allow Donald Trump to deport United States citizens. I'm not making this up. It is what it is. Look on my feed from this morning, my good morning, happy Friday tweet. It's Jasmine Crockett and Eric Swalwell recapping the vote that they just took part in, and all Democrats voted to stop Donald Trump, to not give him permission to deport U.S. citizens, because are you fucking kidding me? If they were convicted, I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming that the U.S. citizens that they're talking about deporting are only those who have already been convicted. They are criminals. They are serving their time, and have supposedly committed some heinous crimes, right? Now, the whole idea of our incarceration system, it's supposed to be to rehabilitate the inmate so that they can rejoin society. And that is what a lot of inmates are attempting to do, to rehabilitate themselves. They go through therapy, they take classes, they get an education, they learn a trade. There are a lot of people who have expressed remorse for their actions, for what they have done, and they have worked very hard to get themselves back to a point where they can re-enter society. So now what happens if Donald Trump decides, you know what, send him off to El Salvador? First of all, now their family, people who are on the outside, who are suffering every day that their loved ones are in jail, now they have to, save up for a plane ticket to go to El Salvador to visit their loved ones. Are you shitting me? Come on. It's ridiculous. How pathetic are we? How much of a punk ass, bitch ass motherfucker are you that you have to ship small children, some with cancer, to you have to deport them? What's that all about? And I've of course seen lots of bullshit online, people saying, oh, the mothers, they were given a choice. They could. No, they weren't. They were not. It's the same choice as if King Solomon said, well, you two women have a dispute over whose child this is. So what I will do is I will either cut this child in half, or I will give that child to one of you. So obviously the real mother says, well, no, don't cut the child in half. Give it to her and let the child live. Okay. That's the choice that they had. They have it was a fake choice. Sophie's choice. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, they were not given a choice. So this whole thing makes me sick to my stomach. Sick. But there is a silver lining, so to speak, on this nasty dark cloud. And the silver lining is, as I said earlier, the judges are holding the line. Judges. So as it says in this New York Times headline, it says, in Texas borderland, Trump's immigration push suffers its worst legal defeat yet. How bad was this legal defeat? It was so bad. It was Trump's own appointed judge who said that no, you may not use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. It was Judge Fernando Rodriguez. Yeah, that's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And across the board, it hasn't only been, what he would call radical left-wing judges. No, a lot of them are Republicans. A lot of them. So there is some hope, guys. There is some hope. And, our main story, of course, is the U.S. economy shrinking by 0.3%. So why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because every freaking quarter, right, going back to President Biden, we've had growth. We've had growth. The least amount of growth was 1.5%. 2%, and 3%. A few quarters, he hit 3%, 3.5%. He was kicking fucking ass. That one in the middle is probably 3.5%. I can't see because it's so tiny on my screen. But yeah, and then on the far right there, you see that little nub there, that little red nub on the far right. That's minus 0.3%. You see its baseline is below the other gray bars because it's negative. It's negative. That's a big deal. Why is our economy contracting despite the fact that, a lot of retailers they actually bought a lot of stuff? Well, that is actually the reason why it's being considered contracting, because they bought those, they're stockpiling. They're stockpiling stuff in anticipation of these tariffs fucking everything up. It's unnecessary, completely unnecessary. And Donald Trump's approval rating on the handling of the economy is an abysmal 36%, lowest level in either Trump administrations, either the first time or the last time. Jenny, I see your question there. You said, what's the one on the left? If I had to guess, I would say that's probably Trump's last year in office in 2020. That was the year that, if you might recall, we had empty shelves. The last time he was in office, he had empty shelves, and once again, we're going to have empty shelves too. So, yeah, the one thing that people, for some reason, believed about Trump was that he was good at business. I'll never understand it. This is the guy who stiffs his workers, who bankrupts casinos. They gave him a pass on bankrupting not one casino, but two casinos. I could almost forgive you for giving him a pass on bankrupting one casino. But after you've seen him do it a second time, something is wrong with the way your brain functions if you think that motherfucker knows what the hell he's doing. Valerie G says she's been stocking up on things. I don't blame you. I think that's actually a smart thing to do. It's actually, right now, that's probably the smart play. Is to pile up what you can. If you have like a garage and you can pile up toilet paper. I remember toilet paper was hard to come by when Trump was in office the last time, back in 2020. He fucked up the supply chain back then, and he's fucking it up again now. In fact, let's go ahead and read. Let's finish this story real quick. Why don't we? Let me put this thing up here. Okay, so Donnie slapped big heavy tariffs on everything. Dolls from Dollville, candies from Sweetland, even the sparkly shoes from Glittertown. At first, Donnie strutted about, grinning as he signed his tariff papers. But soon, oh dear, things went wrong. The shops in Prosperville raised their prices because the tariffs made goods cost more. Families had fewer coins to spend. The toy shelves grew bare, and children clutched only $2 instead of 30. Wait, let me just make that bigger there. Only $2 instead of 30. Look, Donnie, wailed Timmy Toymaker, holding up an empty shop. Our economy is tumbling into a ditch. The economists showed Donnie their charts with lines plunging downward like a sad slide. But Donnie just shrugged and said, fake news. My tariffs are the best. The ditch grew deeper. Factories slowed. Workers grumbled. And the once happy Prosperville turned gloomy. The townsfolk had had enough. They gathered in the town square, waving their empty wallets, and shouted, Donnie Dimwit, you've driven our economy into a ditch. We're done with your tariffs. In a great, noisy vote, the people of Prosperville ran Donnie out of office. He trudged away, muttering about his perfect plans, while the townsfolk cheered for a new leader to fix the mess. They dusted off the shiny book of advice and vowed to rebuild their vibrant land. And so, Prosperville began to heal, slowly but surely, learning never again to trust a dimwit who ignored the wisdom of all. The end. Anyway, that's how it should end in a world that makes sense. Currently, our world does not make sense. Jenny wants to know, why do I never do wigs anymore? I've heard your complaints. You're not the first. Other people want to see the wigs again too. Yeah, I will consider the return to the wigs. Okay. Make wigs great again. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into let's see. No, it's hang on. Okay, so last week I told you I was planning on watching this movie on Netflix that everybody was raving about. It's called Havoc. It stars Tom Hardy and Forrest Whitaker. And it's about Timothy Oliphant, and it's about a guy who has to find the son of a mayor and get him safe. And that shit was garbage. It was so bad. This movie, I don't even understand what the hell happened with those reviewers. I was so mad. I was so mad after watching that, like losing my time. Like halfway through, I looked at wifey. I was like, this is garbage. And she obviously agreed with me. It was so bad. Like, I love Tom Hardy. I love him in almost everything he's in. This movie was outrageously bad. It was horrible. Forrest Whitaker, huge Forrest Whitaker fan. This was terrible. Please do not see it. The fact that it's free, don't be swayed. It has action in it, sure, but you have to shut your brain all the way off and not give a shit about, plot holes or bad writing. It's so bad. So bad. The director was Garth Edwards, I think. Gareth Edwards, the guy who directed The Raid that I love. I've seen The Raid like 5 times. This was horrendous. All right, let's move on to the good stuff. I am so excited. Cannot wait to see The Thunderbolts. It is the latest movie coming out of Marvel Studios. It's already out. And again, this was, and Meredith Powell said she saw the Bob Dylan movie. Fantastic movie. Complete Unknown. There was a lot of stuff I didn't know about Bob Dylan. Loved that movie. That kid, Timothy Chalamet, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. Excellent actor. Anyway, this movie here, Thunderbolts, it's starring some folks you probably know. Oh, it's Florence Pugh. She's very famous. Sebastian Stan, you might know him as the Winter Soldier. There's some great actors in this movie. I'm just very excited. I'll let you guys know what I think. We're going to see it tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon. This is a surprise. This right here. Hey, Sandra from Paramount, California. Thank you so much. Thank you for that kind donation. Wifey and I watched a huge chunk of the 4 seasons last night. This is a show on Netflix based off of a movie from the 80s starring Alan Alda and Carol Burnett. Now, I never saw that movie because that's not my kind of movie. And this, the 4 seasons, is not my kind of show. It's not like a rom-com. It's not a romantic comedy or anything, but it's like a relationship-based serious adult movie, but it's not. I mean, it's serious in that it does deal with some issues, but it's very funny. It's a very funny movie. It's very well written, extremely well acted. It's starring Steve Carell, as you might remember from The Office, Will Forte, Tina Fey, Coleman Domingo. The performances across the board are outstanding. I really, really love this show. We haven't even finished watching it, but we made it through like 5 or 6 episodes last night. It's very good, and it's three couples that they get together every season for a different vacation. That's not fancy. That's fancy. And one of those couples is in the midst of a breakup, and we watch them as they deal with the fallout from. They're like close friends, a closely knit group. So when one couple breaks up, it affects the other two couples too. Great show. Highly recommend. Okay, and last but not least, we have that segment, the dumbest quote, the dumbest Donald Trump quote of the week. And this is every week is going to be something. It's going to be hard to top, but this week he sat down for an interview with ABC's Terry Moran, and this was a hell of an interview, man. Hell of an interview. He seems to go out of his way to appear stupid. And like his stupidity is that he's very confident in his ignorance, almost like The Office, Steve Carell's character, Michael Scott. Michael Scott had 100% confidence where it did not belong because he was an idiot, absolute idiot. So the first one isn't even the most stupid. It's not even the most stupid quote, but we're going to play that anyway. Okay, so this first quote here was, they briefly touched on the photograph. By now, I'm sure you've seen Donald Trump holding up a photograph of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's hand, his knuckles in particular. And on each knuckle, there's a different picture. One is like marijuana. One is a smiley face. I forget what's on the other two, like maybe a cross and something else, whatever. And then above it are the letters MS13, MS13, right? Now, these letters and numbers are clearly not the same color as the tattoos below them. They are dark, and they are also in the Calibri font. Like if any of you use a PC, Calibri is like the default font when you open up Microsoft Word and you're typing a letter to somebody. It's 9 times out of 10 it's Calibri. It's that default font. Anyway, let me just play the clip.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattoo.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was photoshopped. So let me
That was photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that.
The man was trying to not embarrass him. If it was me, I would have embarrassed the hell out of him.
Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry, but you're not being very nice.
And he dissed him while the guy is trying to let him off easy, man, I would have gone all in. Show us that picture, you stupid fuck.
He had MS-13
All right,
tattooed.
we'll agree to disagree. I want to
Terry,
move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I
Yes.
saw the picture. We'll
And you think it
agree
was
to disagree.
Photoshop? Well,
Here we go. Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He
Fair
had
enough.
MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine,
No, no,
sir. I
Terry,
want to get to
Terry,
Ukraine.
no. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why
All right.
people no longer believe.
Well,
The ignorance is staggering. And you've got people online defending this nonsense too. Like, just look at the picture. It's clear. There's no tattoo artist worth their reputation that's going to write MS-13 all off center. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I've been doing it for over 30 years. There's nobody who considers themselves an artist going to tattoo MS-13 in the Calibri font. Nobody, you dumb fuck.
The news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They
Take
weren't
a look
there,
at the
but they're
photograph.
there now, right?
No,
But they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry,
Ukraine, sir.
he's got MS-13 on his knuckles,
All right.
okay?
Well, we'll take a look.
You do
We'll take a
such a
look.
disservice.
We'll take a look at
Why
that,
don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
There it is, right at the end. Why don't you just say yes? Why don't you just agree with me? He's so used to people giving in he beats you down, right? That's what he does. He beats you down with his stupidity, and most people are like, fine, like, oh, okay, whatever. We'll just, so let's move on. So will you let it go if I agree with you? Is basically what his strategy is every fucking time, right? But that's not even the dumbest thing. This is my favorite. So he has in his office, he has the Declaration of Independence on the wall, right? It's got a nice little velvet curtain to open it up and display for everybody that comes in. And he's showing Terry Moran his digs. This is my office. Look at all the fancy gold I have here, and the portraits and paintings of this guy and that. And without further ado, let's just jump back onto that, because that is the stupidest thing I've seen this week, or pretty much any week.
And of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
Lincoln's portrait up there. I'm not familiar.
And of course, you have the.
I think what did it for me, that particular clip, what did it for me was Terry Moran looking and like having to give Trump a double look, like, is this motherfucker serious? Yeah. No, the Declaration of Independence was not about unity and love. It was it was declaring our independence from England. We were basically saying we want a divorce. I don't think we would call that unity and love. I think it's, we're declaring our independence. Yeah. So anyway, no words indeed. And, Terry Moran, I guess he had a difficult task. I always say, if it was me, I would have gone ape shit on him, and I would have done this and I would have done that. And I guess it's easy for me to say from the comfort of my own desk and my own chair or whatever, but to actually be there in that space and knowing that you have a professional reputation to uphold, you know, some of these people have been in journalism for a very, very long time. And, you know, that could make or break him. And I don't know, maybe I guess I would have let him bring me the picture. I would have said, yeah, let's take a look at that picture. And then I would have showed him, but he had other things he wanted to get to, and that was the thing. He didn't want to, get lost in the weeds with Trump over that knuckle sandwich or whatever. So anyway, that was the dumbest the dumbest quote for me. Folks, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. So as you know, it is Friday night, which means pizza and movie night. I did actually start watching, believe it or not, I started watching also. I haven't finished watching the 4 seasons, so wifey and I will finish watching that. But I did start watching this thing about OJ. It's like 30 and 30. I think it's produced by CNN. And it's actually it's interesting because there was stuff I didn't really know about his upbringing and and his the whole background with him in college. And I remember when that whole thing went down, right? The OJ, the trial of the century, and people were like split down the middle. White people wanted him convicted, and black people wanted him to get off. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of black people I knew that he did it, and didn't care, did not care. They wanted him off anyway. Why? That's a long discussion, but the short discussion is because black people had been on the wrong end of the stick in the justice system for so long. We never had the resources to fight against injustice, to get, so many times we've gotten a bad verdict. But the irony was that OJ never really considered himself part of the black community. He never did. So people were kind of like, using him as an avatar for that justice that the black community never got. But he was never one of us. He never was. He didn't want to be. Back in the 60s, he was like, there were times when Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these major black athletes got together to take a stand, for civil rights and against racism. And he was like, thank you, but no thank you. I'm OJ, and that's who I'm going to be. I want to be judged for how great of a football player I am and not for the color of my skin. And I thought that was fascinating. It's fascinating. Like, you want to be mad at it, right? But at the end of the day, isn't that what we all kind of want? We don't want people to judge us. He's good for a black guy. We don't want that. We want, he's good for a football player. He's good for a podcaster. He's good for a president. We don't want the race to factor in. But the time that he was being called upon, we needed representation, and he wasn't there. But he did make that money. He became the Hertz spokesperson and got into movies and then killed his wife. It's terrible. Bernadette. Yeah, that was it. I think that's what he said too. I think he said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." I think he did say those exact words. But yeah, it's an interesting show. I'm gonna finish that at some point this weekend. But guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I look forward to seeing you all here next week. Same time, same place. I love you all. Peace.